Alright, hey guys, this is April 1st. This is Wednesday. This will be the third lesson in the chapter. And basically what we did was we split the multiplication and the division. And so this will cover the division section of it. And so remember yesterday we did multiplication. And so when we multiply, we add the exponents. And so what do you think we're going to do when we divide? We're going to subtract the exponents. And so to divide like bases, we're going to subtract the exponents. That's our definition, that's our rule, and so that is basically the lesson. This is what we're going to do. The rest of it is just going to be the actual working through of it. And so to divide like bases, subtract the exponents. And so again, I have 2 written over here on the side. We have x to the 6th and then an x squared. And so this is x to the 6th divided by x squared. So this is division. So I'm going to subtract the exponents if the bases are the same. And so this base is an x, this base is an x. So that means what I'm really going to do is do x to the 6th minus 2. And so it's 6 minus 2. And so that will give us an answer of x to the 4th. And that's really all we're going to do. And so when we have x to the 6th divided by x squared, the x is the base, and so when we divide, we're going to subtract exponents. So divide, you subtract exponents. Okay? So that's one example. Here's another example, which is just going to be the next little wrinkle in it. And so they give you x to the 3rd divided by x to the 6th. Now, looking at these 2 problems, the one I did over here on the left, and then this new one on the right, what is the difference? What can you notice that is the difference between how it's written? Well, over here, you have the bigger number on top, so when we subtract, it's just 6 minus 2. Notice here, you have the bigger number on bottom. So all that's going to do is it's going to give you a negative answer when we actually do the subtraction. And so this is x to the 3rd minus, divided by x to the 6th, so we're going to do x to the 3 minus 6. And so 3 minus 6 is x to the negative 3rd. Now, there's 2 ways to write this answer when you have a negative exponent. This is one way to write it. That is a correct answer, x to the negative 3rd. Now, the other way to write it, which you're going to see and need to do, is if it's a negative exponent, you basically just put it in the denominator. So you put 1 over whatever you have. And so this is x to the negative 3rd, so I'm going to put 1 over x to the 3rd. So once it's in the bottom, it becomes positive. The same way it was positive to begin with down here in the bottom, it's positive to begin down here at the end in our answer. And so if you get a negative exponent as your answer, you just put 1 over that variable with the exponent. So x to the negative 3 and 1 over x to the 3 are the same thing. Both of those answers are correct. And so this one is going to be probably how you're going to see it on standardized tests, because that's going to be more proper form. And so you'll be able to get to this too. And so 1 over x to the 3rd and x to the negative 3 are the same thing. All you do is put the 1 and then throw this in the bottom. So if you look at number 22 in your book, and I'll do actually 23, just do the odd ones. So 23 says g to the 12th over g to the 5th. This is 23. Okay? First check is to see if they're the same base. And so we have a g and we have a g. So they're the same base. So we're dividing. And so that means we're just going to subtract the exponents. And so I'm going to do g to the 12 minus 5. So you're just going to subtract your exponents. And so 12 minus 5 would be g to the 7th. And that's our answer. So that's really all we're going to have to do. So just subtract the exponents whenever we're dividing. And so if you look at 25, so 25 says d to the 12th over d to the 20th. So the first check, because these have to work, the check is important for y'all. Here they're probably going to give it to you mainly with it written correctly, but the check is it has to be the same base, because this only works if it's the exact same base. So D and D, so that's the check, that's what you need to notice first. And then you notice division, so that tells you to subtract. And so I'm just going to do d to the 12th minus 20. So 12 minus 20 in the exponent. And so that would be d to the negative 8th. Okay, so that is an appropriate answer, that's fine. But notice it's a negative exponent, and so we need to be able to write that in a more proper form. And so when it's a negative exponent, we just throw it in the denominator. And so it's 1 over d to the 8th. So those two are the same answers, but this one, the 1 over d to the 8th, is more proper. And so you need to be able to get to that point. And so remember, it's just throwing it in the denominator. 1 over whatever that was, since it's a negative exponent. Positive exponent is just your answer. All right, and pretty much all they're going to do, they may try to throw a couple wrinkles in with y'all just by throwing you a different type of division form. And so if you look on page 407 at some of the problems, then you have like number 37. It says W2 divided by W to the 4th. And so it's just a different form of division. And so what this really is saying W2 divided by W4. So when you do it, when it's written, these are two are the same thing. So when it's written like this, we're just going to subtract this number minus that number. So the first one minus the second one. And so if you do it that way, it'd be W to the 2 minus 4. 2 minus 4 is, of course, negative 2. So just be careful when you're doing your subtraction, because you have to be able to get to the negative number. If you put a positive 2 there or something, you're going to miss it. So make sure you're careful with the subtraction. So W minus 2, it would be W to the negative 2. And so to write that in a more proper form, it would be 1 over W squared. And so either one of those answers would be correct. This is the more proper one. So 1 over W squared. And so that is really all the lesson is. One thing you need to keep in check with before we go is just if you wound up with like W to the 7th over W to the 7th, then when you do W to the 7 minus 7, so subtracting, you're going to get W to the 0 power. Now, anything to the 0 power is a special case. No matter what it is to the 0 power, you're always going to get the answer of 1. And so W to the 0 power, really anything to the 0 power, your answer is always 1. So if you ever get to that part where it's W to the 0, your answer is just 1. And so that's the lesson for today. Homework was 22 through, I think, 42 on page 406 and 407. So 22 through 42. Thank you guys. Have a good day.